Samir Khan was an ordinary student, or at least he thought so. He had come from Earth's small town to study at the Intercity University, a place where students from many nations came together. His dream was simple: study, graduate, and maybe get a good job in engineering. But fate had other plans for him, and it all started with his new roommate. Her name was Lyra. She joined the university as a quiet exchange student. She was tall, graceful, and spoke with a strange accent. At first, Samir thought she was from some faraway country. She always wore long robes of silver and blue, and sometimes her eyes seemed to glow faintly, like stars caught in water. When Samir asked about it, she smiled politely and said, "It is a family trait." Samir found her odd but interesting. She was polite, neat, and quiet. She never argued about chores, always kept her side of the dorm room spotless, and studied late into the night with glowing tablets that did not look like any human device. One night, as Samir sat fixing his small drone for a class project, he noticed Lyra sitting by the window looking at the moon. "Do you miss home?" he asked. She turned to him, her silver eyes soft. "Yes, more than I can say," he smiled. "I know the feeling. I miss my mother's cooking." Lyra laughed gently, and for a moment Samir felt they were not so different. He had no idea she was hiding a truth larger than he could imagine. Weeks passed, and the semester neared its end. Samir focused on exams while Lyra grew quieter. She often checked her glowing tablet with worried expressions. Sometimes she would whisper in a language Samir did not know. He assumed she was talking to family back home. Then one evening, everything changed. Samir was returning from the library when he found strange people standing outside the dorm building. They wore long cloaks with helmets shaped like crowns. Their armor gleamed with symbols he could not read. When they saw Samir, they straightened as if recognizing him. "There he is," one of them said in a deep voice. Before Samir could react, they surrounded him. Excuse me?" Samir said nervously. "Can I help you?" "You are the chosen one," the tallest guard declared. "Come with us." "The what?" Samir blinked. Before he could argue, Lyra rushed out of the dorm. Her face turned pale when she saw them. "Wait. You cannot," but the guards bowed to her. "Princess Lyra, we have secured your groom." Samir froze. "What did you just say?" "Groom," the guard repeated proudly. "The one chosen to wed you, as the prophecy declared." Samir pointed at himself. "Me? No. I think you made a mistake. I'm just a student." Lyra tried to speak, but her words were lost as the guards placed a glowing band around Samir's wrist. It tightened like steel, but instead of hurting, it hummed with warm energy. "What is this thing?" Samir cried. "The bond of union," the guard explained. "Once placed, it cannot be broken. The ceremony will proceed." Before Samir could shout for help, the guards lifted him gently but firmly. Lyra followed, looking torn between panic and duty. Together, they were taken to a shining craft hidden outside the campus grounds. It looked nothing like any Earth machine. Its surface shimmered like liquid metal, and when it opened, Samir saw a hall of glowing lights inside. This is not possible," Samir whispered. The guards guided him in, and the ship rose silently into the night sky. Within seconds, Earth became a small marble below them. Samir's heart raced. "What is happening to me?" he shouted. Lyra finally spoke. "Samir, there is something I never told you. I am not from Earth. I am Princess Lyra of the House of Sereth, heir to the star crown of Velara. My family came to take me home for my marriage." Samir stared at her. "You're what?" She lowered her eyes. "An alien princess. I was living here to learn about humans before I returned to my people, but now—" "They think you are the groom." Samir laughed nervously, hoping it was all a dream. No. This is crazy. I'm just a student. I'm not a prince, I'm not a groom. I'm not even ready for dating right now." But the ship's window showed stars racing past, proving it was no dream. Hours later, the ship arrived at a massive station floating among the stars. Towers of crystal and metal rose into the void, glowing like a city of light. Ships of many shapes and sizes drifted nearby, carrying beings of forms Samir could barely understand. Creatures with wings, beings of pure light, tall armored figures, and more. "This is the Hall of Union," one guard told him proudly, "where the greatest wedding in generations will take place." Samir's knees felt weak. "You've got the wrong guy. I'm not the groom. I'm not even from here." But the glowing band on his wrist pulsed brightly, making the crowd cheer as he stepped out of the ship. Lyra whispered, "The band has accepted you. That means the system believes you are my chosen, Samir groaned. Of course it does. Just my luck. He was led into a grand chamber where alien nobles awaited. The air smelled of strange flowers, and the walls shimmered with living light. At the center stood a throne where a tall figure sat, Lyra's father, the king of Velara. His crown glowed like a star and his voice thundered as he spoke. My daughter has returned, and her groom has come as destiny declared. The crowd cheered, their voices echoing across the hall. Samir felt faint. He whispered to Lyra, "Please tell me this is a misunderstanding." She looked at him with sorrow. "It is, but once the bond chooses, it cannot be denied." Samir wanted to protest again, but the king raised his hand and silence fell. "Tomorrow," the king declared, "the wedding shall unite our princess and her chosen one, and with this union, peace among the stars will be sealed." The hall erupted with joy. Samir stood frozen, unable to believe what he had just heard. A wedding? With an alien princess tomorrow? He wanted to scream, but all he could do was look at Lyra, who gazed back with equal helplessness. Thus began Samir's impossible journey, from a simple Earth student to the mistaken groom of a galactic princess. Samir hardly slept that night. The guest chamber he was given on the space station was large and filled with glowing lights, soft music, and walls that seemed alive with starlight. Yet no comfort could calm his mind. He sat on the edge of a bed that looked like a floating cloud, staring at the glowing band on his wrist. "I can't believe this is happening," he muttered. The door opened softly. Princess Lyra stepped in, her silver eyes filled with worry. She wore a robe of white that shimmered like flowing water. "You should rest," she said gently. "How can I rest?" Samir snapped. "Tomorrow they want me to marry you in front of half the galaxy." Lyra lowered her gaze. "I never wanted this for you. The bond chose you, and my people believe it is destiny. But I know you never asked for this." Samir rubbed his forehead. "I don't even know how this band works. Why would it pick me?" "The bond is old magic from my people," Lyra explained softly. "It chooses someone whose spirit matches the heirs. I never imagined it would link to a human. But sir, maybe it sees something we do not." Samir sighed. "I'm just a normal guy. I fix drones for school projects. I burn instant noodles half the time. I'm not groom material for a royal princess." Lyra smiled faintly. "Sometimes greatness hides in ordinary people." He looked at her, surprised by her words, but before he could reply, the station bells rang. The sound was deep, like the hum of a giant drum, echoing through the walls. "It has begun," Lyra whispered. The next day, Samir was dressed in royal garments, robes of silver and blue with a crown-like band set upon his head. Alien attendants bowed as they guided him through shining halls. Everywhere, crowds of different species gathered, watching him with awe. Samir felt sick with nerves. He whispered to Lyra, who walked beside him in her wedding gown, a flowing dress of living crystal that sparkled with every step. "This is crazy. I can't do this," he said. "You must try," she replied softly, "or they will see it as disrespect to my family." The wedding hall was enormous. Hundreds of alien nobles sat in golden balconies. Some had wings, some had glowing eyes, and others floated without bodies at all. At the center stood the king and queen, waiting with proud smiles. The high priest, a tall figure with skin like glass, lifted his arms. "Let the bond of stars unite Princess Lyra and her chosen." The crowd cheered. Music unlike any Samir had ever heard filled the hall. Notes that shimmered like light, deep tones that shook the floor. Samir's heart pounded as he stood at the altar beside Lyra. He whispered quickly, "If I faint, just drag me out, okay?" Lyra gave a small, nervous laugh. "You are stronger than you think." The priest began chanting words in the alien tongue. The glowing band on Samir's wrist shone brighter, linking with a similar band on Lyra's arm. The light rose, forming a circle of stars around them. The crowd leaned forward in awe. Just as the final words were about to be spoken, the walls shook. A deep boom echoed through the hall, followed by alarms flashing red. The priest stopped. Gasps filled the chamber. From above, part of the ceiling exploded as black ships appeared outside the station. Strange fighters broke through the station's shield, sending fire across the balconies. "Attack!" someone screamed. Panic spread. Guards rushed to protect the king and queen. The nobles scattered, and from the smoke, armored figures in black stormed into the hall. The leader, wearing jagged armor and a mask of steel, pointed at Lyra. "The princess comes with us. The throne will fall to our hand." Samir froze. His instincts told him to hide, but when he saw the attackers rushing toward Lyra, something inside him sparked. He grabbed a piece of broken metal from the ground and stood in front of her. "Stay back," he shouted. The soldiers laughed. "A human? What can you do?" Samir had no idea himself, but he swung the metal like a bat, striking the first attacker across the helmet. The soldiers stumbled and Samir yelled to Lyra, "Run!" Lyra pulled his arm. Together they darted through the chaos. Guards were fighting the invaders, but more black-armored soldiers kept pouring in. The beautiful wedding hall became a battlefield. "This way," Lyra cried, leading him down a side passage. They ran through corridors filled with smoke and frightened guests. Alarms blared. The floor shook as blasts hit the station. Samir struggled to keep up. "Where are we going?" he asked between breaths. "To the hangar," Lyra said firmly. "We must escape before they capture us." The hangar was massive, filled with sleek royal ships. But soldiers were already there, blocking most exits. Samir's eyes darted until he saw a smaller vessel, half hidden behind larger crafts. It looked less guarded. "That one," he shouted. Lyra nodded. They rushed toward it, dodging laser fire that burned the walls around them. A guard aimed at Samir, but Lyra raised her hand, sending out a wave of blue energy that threw the attacker back. "You can do that?" Samir gasped. "I told you," she said quickly. "I am not from Earth." They reached the small ship, its silver surface glowing faintly. Samir pressed random buttons near the door until it slid open. They stumbled inside as more attackers charged the hangar. "Go!" Lyra cried, jumping into the pilot seat. Samir strapped himself in, gripping the armrest as the ship roared to life. The attackers fired at them, but the vessel lifted swiftly, shields glowing. With a sudden burst, it shot out of the hangar into open space. The stars stretched before them, endless and bright. But behind, black fighters chased, firing streams of red light. "Hold tight," Lyra shouted, steering sharply. The ship spun between blasts, weaving through the chaos. Samir felt his stomach turn but clung on for dear life. "Can't you just warp us out of here?" Samir yelled. "The engine is damaged from their fire," Lyra said, sweat on her forehead. "I need time." Samir looked around desperately. His eyes fell on a console with blinking symbols. He didn't understand the language, but some symbols looked like directional controls. He pressed one and suddenly a panel opened, releasing bursts of counterfire at the enemies. "Yes," he shouted as one fighter exploded behind them. Lyra glanced at him with surprise. "You are learning fast. Trust me, I have no idea what I just did," Samir admitted. Still, together they managed to shake off some of the pursuers. Finally, Lyra slammed her hand on a glowing crystal in the ship's center. The vessel shuddered, then stretched forward in a beam of light. Stars blurred and the attackers vanished behind them. They had escaped. For a moment, silence filled the cabin. Both of them sat breathing heavily, hearts racing. Samir finally said, "So, that was my first wedding. I think it went pretty bad." Lyra let out a small laugh despite the danger. "You saved me, Samir, thank you." He looked at her, still shocked. "Saved you? I almost got both of us killed." "But you acted," she said softly. "You didn't hide. That is what matters." Samir leaned back, staring at the endless stars through the window. "So what now? Do we go back?" Lyra shook her head. "No, the enemy will not stop. They will chase us. Returning would only endanger my family again." Samir frowned. "Then where do we go?" She looked at him, her silver eyes glowing faintly. "Anywhere, everywhere. The galaxy is wide and we must find a place to plan to survive. Perhaps even to fight back," Samir groaned. "So basically this is a road trip through space. With people trying to catch us?" Lyra smiled softly. "Yes, a road trip across the stars," Samir sighed. "Great, just great." But deep inside, part of him felt a strange excitement. He had been pulled into something far bigger than himself. But maybe, just maybe, this was the beginning of a story worth living, and so the ordinary Earth student and the alien princess began their unplanned journey across the galaxy, with danger behind them and adventure ahead. The stolen silver ship glided silently through the void, leaving the chaos of the wedding behind. Stars stretched endlessly in every direction, scattered like diamonds on black velvet. Samir sat in the co-pilot seat, staring out the window, his mind still struggling to accept everything that had happened. "I was supposed to finish my exams next week," he muttered. "Instead, I crash a royal wedding and fly off in a spaceship. My professor is going to kill me. If the aliens don't get me first." Lyra, focused on the controls, gave a small smile. "You handled yourself well back there. Not many humans would face soldiers with nothing but a piece of metal. Samir laughed nervously. I didn't really have a choice. They were pointing weapons at you. What was I supposed to do? Hide under a chair? You protected me, she said softly. And now we are here free but hunted. Samir turned serious. So, where do we go? Do you even have a plan? Lyra touched the glowing crystal at the center of the console. We cannot return to the station. The enemy will search there first. We must move across the galaxy far from their reach until we can understand their plan. For now we travel, we see. We survive, Samir sighed. So it's a road trip. Across space, with bounty hunters after us, wonderful. Lyra glanced at him. You say this word often. Road trip, what does it mean? Samir chuckled. It's a human thing. When people get bored, they take a long journey by car. They visit new places, try new food, listen to music, and sometimes get lost on purpose. It's fun, at least when no one is chasing you. Lyra tilted her head, curious. Then perhaps this will be our road trip. Among the stars. Samir smiled despite his worry. Yeah, guess so. The desert planet, their first stop, was a desert world called Karath 9. From orbit, it looked like a giant golden ball, swirling with sandstorms. The ship descended onto a settlement built on tall stilts above the shifting dunes. Samir stepped out and instantly felt the heat. It's like walking into an oven, he said, wiping sweat from his forehead. Lyra walked calmly beside him. Karath 9 is known for its energy crystals. They harvest them from beneath the sands. The people here are traders. They will not ask questions if we pay. The marketplace was unlike anything Samir had ever seen. Stalls were made of stretched fabric that shimmered in the sun. Merchants of different species shouted their prices, some with deep booming voices, others with musical tones. Beings with scales, wings, or glowing skin bartered with crystals, spices, and machines. Samir's eyes widened. This is insane. It's like a sci-fi movie, but real. He stopped at a stall selling glowing fruits. What's this? He asked. The merchant, a tall lizard-like being, replied, Solar melons. Sweet, filled with energy. 5 credits each. Samir turned to Lyra. Do we even have credits? Lyra handed over a small silver cube. This will do. They bit into the fruit together. It was sweet, but also sparkled on the tongue like tiny bursts of light. Samir laughed. Okay, I admit, alien fruit beats Earth fruit. For a short while, they forgot their troubles, enjoying the sights of the marketplace. But soon Lyra noticed a hooded figure watching them. Her smile faded. Samir, she whispered. We must leave now. They hurried back to the ship. As they lifted off, 2 black fighters appeared on the horizon, speeding toward them. They're here already? Samir shouted. They will not stop chasing, Lyra said firmly, steering the ship upward. Hold on. The desert world fell behind as they raced back into space. The floating city. Their next stop was far more peaceful. The ship drifted above a massive gas giant, blue and green swirls covering its endless surface. Floating high in the atmosphere was a city made of glass platforms and shining towers held aloft by anti-gravity engines. Samir pressed his face to the window. That's beautiful. Like a city flying in the clouds, Lyra nodded. This is Aerolus, a place of learning. We may rest here for a while. They landed on one of the platforms. The city was filled with graceful bridges connecting tall towers. Beings floated gently from one place to another using small hover devices. Music drifted in the air, soft and calming. Samir felt lighter, as if the peaceful atmosphere touched his heart. This is nothing like Karath 9, it feels calm. They visited a tower library where shelves of glowing books hovered in the air. Samir reached for one and it unfolded into a projection of stars. Whoa, he whispered. This is like the ultimate hologram. Lyra smiled at his wonder. This place was my dream to visit when I studied your world. I'm glad to see it now. With you. Her words made Samir pause. He looked at her, and for the first time he realized how different yet similar they were. She was royalty, powerful and wise. He was just a student from Earth. And yet here they were, sharing fruit on one world, books on another, and danger everywhere in between. For a while they relaxed in Aerolus. But peace never lasted long. A message reached the city. Bounty hunters had entered the skies, looking for a human and a princess. We cannot stay, Lyra said. Samir sighed. Figures. Just when I was starting to like this place. The forest world, their journey took them next to a world covered in endless forests, where the trees glowed with their own light. The nights were filled with colors, and the creatures that lived there moved silently among the branches. They walked through the glowing woods, the air filled with soft songs of unseen beings. Samir felt strangely at peace here. "It's like walking inside a dream," he whispered. Lyra touched one of the glowing trunks. "The people here believe the trees carry the memories of the past." "Every leaf is a story," Samir laughed. "If that's true, then I probably owe half the trees an apology for the way I tripped over their roots." Lyra laughed softly. For a moment, the galaxy's troubles seemed far away. But again, danger returned. Strange drones buzzed through the forest, scanning for them. Samir grabbed Lyra's hand. "We've got to go!" They sprinted through the glowing woods, chased by the humming machines, until they reached their ship. The forest faded behind them as the silver vessel lifted into the stars once more. Between stars, days turned into weeks. They traveled from world to world, always one step ahead of the hunters. Sometimes they barely escaped. Other times they had moments to breathe, sharing stories of their lives. Samir taught Lyra small Earth traditions. He showed her how to eat noodles from a cup, how to whistle a tune, and how to play simple games on his old tablet. Lyra, in return, showed him wonders of her people. She taught him how to read basic star maps, how to activate shields, and how to listen to the hum of the ship's engine as if it were alive. One night, as they floated between stars, Samir pointed out the window. "Back home, I used to lie on the roof and look at the stars. I thought they were unreachable. Now I'm sitting here with you, flying past them like they're just streetlights." Lyra smiled gently. "The stars were never unreachable, Samir. They were waiting for you." Samir felt warmth in his chest, though he quickly tried to hide it with a nervous laugh. "You talk like a poet, you know that?" "Perhaps," she said softly, her silver eyes glowing like the stars outside. The shadow ahead, but even as their bond grew stronger, the danger also grew. Everywhere they went, whispers spread of a bounty placed on them. The rival faction wanted Princess Lyra captured, and Samir eliminated. One night, as Samir adjusted the ship's console, a red warning flashed across the screen. "What's that?" he asked. Lyra's face turned pale. "They are close." Closer than ever before. Samir clenched his fists. "Then we'd better be ready." The galaxy was wide, but their enemies were not giving up. The road trip that had started by mistake was becoming a fight for survival. Yet neither of them was ready to turn back. Together they pushed forward into the unknown, with danger behind and destiny ahead. The stars stretched endlessly before them, but Samir and Lyra felt the weight of pursuit heavier with every light year. The black ships of the rival faction moved silently, always just beyond their sensors, a shadow that could strike at any moment. "This is getting ridiculous," Samir muttered, leaning against the console. "Do they never sleep? Do they eat? Or is their entire mission just chase humans forever?" Lyra kept her eyes on the glowing control panels, her hands moving with precision. "They are relentless because they must be. My position as princess is valuable to them, and they will not stop until they have me." "Until then, we must be ready for anything," Samir groaned. "I didn't sign up for galaxy politics. I just wanted to study engineering." Lyra's soft smile appeared, though tension shadowed her face. "And yet here you are, saving an alien princess and running across the stars." Samir looked out the window. "Yeah. Well, life has a funny sense of humor." Asteroid chase. Their first encounter during this stretch of the chase was among the asteroid fields of Voric Belt, a chaotic region of jagged rocks spinning through space like a deadly carousel. "Hold on," Lyra shouted, steering sharply. A large asteroid loomed ahead. Samir grabbed a handhold as the ship twisted around it. "What do you mean, hold on?" Samir yelled. "We're going to crash!" "You underestimate me," Lyra called back. "Trust the ship." Asteroids whizzed past, some so large they could have swallowed their vessel whole. The rival fighters dove after them, weaving through the debris, firing beams of energy. Samir's pulse pounded as the enemy shot struck asteroids nearby, sending showers of sparkling debris into the void. "Don't look down," Samir muttered to himself. "Don't look down." He pressed random buttons on the console, trying to help, but every action seemed to do something unexpected. Yet each time Lyra adjusted the course, twisting the ship around obstacles with grace that Samir could barely follow. Finally, after a tense few hours of maneuvering, they cleared the asteroid belt. The black ships were battered by the rocks, and the pair managed to slip into the safe expanse of empty space. Samir exhaled, leaning back. Okay, that was terrifying. I'm never looking at a rock again. Lyra laughed softly, a rare sound of relief. You are alive. That is what matters. The mercenary outpost after the asteroid belt, they sought a place to rest and repair the ship. They discovered a small outpost on a moon of a gas giant, run by mercenaries who sold supplies and repairs to travelers, for a price. The outpost was built into the side of a crater, metal walkways connecting domed buildings. Creatures of every shape and color moved about, bartering, repairing, and trading. Lyra landed the ship carefully. We must be discreet, she warned. We cannot attract attention. Samir followed her, his eyes wide. Discreet? Look at this place. It's like a festival for bounty hunters. Inside, they approached a tall, four-armed mechanic who inspected their ship with glowing eyes. Repairs? He asked in a gruff voice. Yes, Lyra replied. Quick, we have little time. As the mechanic worked, Samir wandered. He found a small stall selling space fruit from a dozen worlds, some glowing, some soft like jelly, others floating in midair. He picked up a translucent orb and took a bite. The flavor exploded like fireworks, making him laugh. Samir, Lyra called. Stay alert. He hurried back to the ship. Yeah, I know. Adventure first, snacks second. Got it. By nightfall, the ship was repaired, patched, and ready. Yet, as they prepared to leave, the red alert flashed. They found us here, Lyra said grimly. We must go now. They launched into space, leaving the mercenary outpost behind. The pursuit continued, but now they had a momentary edge. The AI fortress days later, they reached the edge of the Nerath system, where an abandoned fortress orbited a dying star. Lyra suggested they hide there, thinking the enemy would hesitate to approach a haunted zone filled with dangerous defenses. As they docked, the fortress's AI awoke. A soft voice filled the cabin. Unauthorized entry detected. Identify yourselves, Lyra spoke quickly. We are travelers. We seek shelter. Permission denied, the AI replied. All travelers must submit to system scan. Samir's heart raced. Lyra, we're trapped in a giant robot fortress. She nodded. Yes, but I believe we can use it to our advantage. The AI scanned the ship. Warning. Ship contains alien royal signature. Deploy defense drones. Defense drones? Samir yelled. We didn't come here to fight robots. Lyra grabbed a lever, sending the ship into a hidden docking bay. Drones appeared, firing beams. Samir instinctively hit a control panel. Panels moved, energy shields rose, and the drones were deflected harmlessly. Lyra whispered, Trust me. With precise coordination, they tricked the fortress's systems. Holographic duplicates of their ship appeared, confusing the AI while they slipped deeper inside. Finally, they reached the central chamber, where the AI paused, studying them. You are clever, it said, but cleverness alone will not save you from the hunters. Samir groaned. Oh great, advice from a robot overlord. Lyra touched the glowing console. Perhaps it can help us. Maybe it can hide us or give us guidance. The AI hesitated. Then it spoke. I can create a cloaked corridor through space. Travel through it and hunters will not follow, but you must leave immediately, for only one passage exists. Thank you, Lyra said quickly. We will not forget this. The ship lifted through the cloaked corridor, stars rushing past in streaks of light. For a few hours, they had true safety. Human courage shines. During these days of chase and peril, Samir began to discover something new about himself. He was no longer just a student. He was the one who suggested alternate routes through asteroid belts. The one who spotted dangers that Lyra's advanced sensors missed. The one who held courage when the alien princess doubted herself. You're different, Lyra said one night. As they floated in the calm of the corridor, stars around them like sparkling candles. Not just because you are human. You think, you act, and you care. You are brave, Samir blushed. I'm not that brave, I just don't know how to run away when people I care about are in danger. Lyra looked at him. That is true courage. Many would fight for themselves. You fight for others. Samir swallowed hard. He had never felt so seen before. He looked out the window, at the galaxy stretched endlessly before them. I guess, maybe humans do have a place in this big universe. You do, Lyra said softly. The stars blurred past the silver ship as Samir and Lyra flew deeper into the galaxy. Weeks of running, dodging, and exploring had changed them both. Samir was no longer the nervous Earth student who stumbled into a royal wedding. He had become clever, brave, and quick-thinking. Lyra had learned to rely not only on her royal training, but also on human intuition and creativity. Together they had survived what many thought impossible. "Samir," Lyra said quietly, her silver eyes reflecting starlight. "We cannot run forever. They will catch up eventually. We must face them." Samir swallowed hard. "You mean, fight them?" "Face the entire faction." "Yes," Lyra said firmly. "We have allies now and we know enough of their plans. It is time to end this chase once and for all." Samir nodded. "Then let's do it. I may be from Earth, but I'm not letting anyone take you without a fight." The rivals' lair, they traveled to the coordinates of the enemy's stronghold, a massive asteroid fortress, carved into a black rock drifting through a nebula. Red energy beams crisscrossed its surface, making the structure look alive and dangerous. Lyra guided the ship toward a hidden approach, using asteroid shadows to remain unseen. "We need to land inside the fortress quietly," she said. "If we are detected too early, they will send reinforcements." Samir took a deep breath. "Quietly, right, I've never been good at that, but I'll try." Inside, corridors stretched endlessly, lined with glowing symbols and sharp machinery. Drones patrolled overhead, their sensors scanning constantly. Lyra moved like a shadow, her knowledge of alien systems guiding them. Samir followed, his human ingenuity helping them bypass traps that the princess had not noticed. "I think we make a good team," Lyra whispered. Samir smirked. "Speak for yourself." "I'm just improvising, hoping nothing explodes." Lyra laughed softly, a rare sound that made him smile despite the tension. Confrontation. They reached the heart of the fortress, a massive chamber with a high ceiling. At the center stood the faction leader, a tall figure clad in black armor, mask gleaming in the red light. "Ah, the human and the princess," the leader said, voice echoing. "I expected you to flee, but you dare enter my domain?" Samir stepped forward. "We're not fleeing anymore, and if you think you can take her, you're wrong." Lyra held her ground beside him. "This ends today. No more chasing, no more lies. We choose our own path." The leader laughed, low and menacing. "The princess will obey her fate, and the human will perish." Samir glanced at Lyra. "Ready?" "Always," she replied. The chamber erupted into chaos. Drones swarmed, firing beams of light. Samir dodged quickly, using his instincts and agility. Lyra activated her energy shields, sending waves of force that threw attackers back. Samir grabbed a control panel and activated a series of traps in the room. Sparks flew, and automated barriers shifted to block drones. Lyra used the opportunity to disable the leader's energy staff, knocking it aside with a pulse of her own power. "You think you can defeat me?" the leader roared, advancing. Samir stepped forward. "I don't just think, I know. Humans can be clever, and I've got one of the smartest people with me." He nodded at Lyra, who smiled. Together they moved as one. With a combination of human intuition and alien strength, they outmaneuvered the leader. Lyra used precise energy blast to immobilize his guards while Samir guided them through the fortress systems, locking doors and rerouting security. Finally, the leader stood alone, trapped. He glared at them. "This is not over," he shouted. Lyra's eyes glowed softly. "It is over, at least for now." The leader realized resistance was futile. Samir and Lyra had outsmarted him using courage, wit, and teamwork, the qualities that neither machines nor soldiers could predict. Freedom and decision. With the enemy defeated, the fortress quieted. Lyra turned to Samir. "We did it. We are free." Samir exhaled, his hands shaking slightly. "Free? But what now? Your people will come looking for you again, and me. I'm still just a student from Earth." Lyra smiled. "You are more than that now, Samir. You are a friend, a partner, and someone I trust completely. We can face the galaxy together if we choose." Samir felt warmth in his chest. He thought of the desert planet, the floating city, the glowing forest, and all the dangers they had faced. He realized he had grown braver than he ever thought possible. I want to keep going," he said finally. "I don't know where we'll end up, but I want to see it with you." Lyra's silver eyes shone brighter. "Then we will journey together. No more forced weddings, no more running. We choose our own path, a new beginning." They returned to their ship and left the fortress behind, navigating the stars toward unknown worlds. The galaxy was vast, filled with adventure, mystery, and danger, but also friendship and discovery. On the first planet they visited, a peaceful moon orbiting a turquoise gas giant, they watched a double sunset from a quiet cliff. Samir opened a small food packet he had brought from Earth, a simple snack but comforting. "You know," he said, "I never thought life could be like this. I went from boring exams to galaxy adventures, alien princesses, and battles with interstellar factions. And somehow it's amazing." Lyra laughed softly. "Life is often stranger than we expect, but it is beautiful when we face it together." Samir smiled at her. "Yusa, together." As the suns dipped below the horizon, their ship rested nearby, ready to carry them to the next adventure. They had survived enemies, learned to trust each other, and discovered courage beyond what they thought possible. They were no longer just a princess and a student. They were travelers, partners, and explorers of the galaxy. Their road trip across the stars had begun by accident, but now it was a choice of freedom, courage, and adventure. And so, with hearts full of hope and determination, they soared into the endless night, ready for whatever wonders the galaxy held.